Okay, guys, we are in trouble. I feel troubled for the people who have been deceived. This video is about waking up people because 99.992447% of the population have been deceived. Okay, virtually everybody is deceived, except for those who are closely following God, and except for those who are the commanders in Russian military, as well as commanders in the US and NATO. Everybody else on this globe, everybody else, probably except for North Korea, because they know what the heck is really going on in Ukraine. Okay? Everybody else in the Western civilized Western society have been deceived, believing that Russia is invading Ukraine. That is not truth. It's far from truth. As you can see in the map, the news media, the mainstream, are showing that the expansion, the progression of Russia invading Ukraine. You can see the red marks, the areas, advancing into cities, even Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine, that they are using military might, military force to attack, to invade these cities, the country of Ukraine. First of all, that is false. Okay, I'm here to point out to you. Jesus told me over and over that Russia is not invading Ukraine. Russia respects Ukraine's sovereignty, respect Ukraine as a country, as a nation. Russia is not interested in invading other countries. That is the truth. The reason why Russia is initiating military operation, military attack, is because Russia is seriously, in reality, seriously threatened by the West, by the US, militarily. That is why Russia is really taking action now. Because if they don't take action now, things will get very bad, very dangerous, and Russia could get destroyed. And that is the truth. That is the ultimate truth. And also Russia, the reason why Russia is initiating military operation, the strategic military operation, is to also rescue the country of Ukraine from corruption, from deception, from the control by the West, from the US. Because the Ukraine leaders they betrayed their own country. They sold their country to the US. They're not running the country. They're not running the country. It's the US that is running it. And that is also the truth. So most people there, almost everybody have been deceived because they've been receiving lies from the mainstream media, from the TV programs in Ukraine and all over Europe, all over the globe. They believe they're trained, the people there, the citizens, including the Americans, they have been trained to believe that Russia is the aggressor, that Russia is the enemy, Russia is the bad guy, looking to invade countries to increase their empire. That is far from the truth. I want to start off with a couple of video clips to give you a quick glimpse of what's happening there in terms of military action. Here it is.
мовити.
That's explosion. That's U.S. installation, military installation in Ukraine that is being blown up, destroyed by Russian airstrike. That's what that big explosion is. Almost looks like a mushroom cloud. That's a U.S. asset, U.S. military installation that is being destroyed. It's not the Ukraine's own military asset, because the weapons, the systems are being placed by the U.S.
Глянь, что делает. Глянь, какая дружественный народ. Посмотри, что делает. Дружественный народ. Посмотри, летит.
You see all those blown up, destroyed tanks? Those are not Russian tanks. Jesus told me that. He pointed out exactly that those destroyed tanks are the Ukrainian tanks, led by the Kiev's army. And they got destroyed by Russian airstrike.
Чу? Я не бачу. Ой, Боже.
There's what the people have seen or heard in the news, the video clips of the military operations being performed, is only the tiny fraction of it, of what has actually been happening. Situation is a lot worse. It's very bad. It's much, much worse than what people are seeing or realizing. Jesus wanted me to clarify, to make it clear what actually happened in the first couple of days when Russia initiated the military operation to attack in Ukraine. Russia was not attacking Ukraine civilians or Ukraine buildings. The Russia was attacking the military assets that are placed by the US and by the West from NATO. Ultimately, they all come from the US. The weapons, the military installations, assets, military equipment, all that stuff. They're being destroyed, and Jesus clarified to me. He told me that Russia is a lot more powerful than what people think, what people assume or believe. They have special weapons, they have large-scale weapons to overcome the enemy. And when they make action, when they attack, they mean serious. What actually happened in Ukraine was that using airstrikes, using these fighter jets. By the way, they used different fighter jets and aircraft to attack the military installations, assets in Ukraine. How were how they were able to do that? You would think that when they, when another nation attacks a country like that, the country of Ukraine would be prepared, would respond right away. They would defend themselves, right? Using air defense system, using their communications and coordinating with other countries, NATO countries, to fight back, to defend from Russian attack. They failed. That's what Jesus was telling me. They failed miserably. What happened was that Russia, they destroyed, not only the Russia destroyed the US military assets, their weapons and installations, they also destroyed pretty much all of their air defense system, namely Patriot air defense system in Ukraine. They got that. That's what US placed there. And then those air defense systems got destroyed by Russian airstrikes. That is shocking. That's why Ukraine basically was tranquilized, where it was left defenseless, and Russia was just able to finish up their mission that are assigned to them by attacking certain areas, places in Ukraine. There are, at the same time, Jesus also told me that at the same time, there is a major involvement closely. The US military have been closely monitoring, and they are involved in this. They have their naval base, they have their naval power and their air power. They have been monitoring it and trying to take actions by fighting the Russian military by using Ukraine. What happened was Russia tranquilized, paralyzed the communication systems of the US military and NATO. The US Naval and Air Force have been paralyzed, the communications, so that they could not communicate with each other. And it prevented them from taking any further actions. They couldn't do anything about it. And Russia destroyed the US air defense systems in Ukraine. Bunch of it. I heard over 160 missiles were used and 75 places, installations have been destroyed. Jesus told me that those are underreported. It's much worse. Jesus told me that it's like in the several in the range of several hundred assets, locations have been destroyed, including air defense systems that are placed by the US. How Russia is able to do that? Paralyze the communication systems. They have their special large-scale weapons, electronic warfare system, EW, like this machine, this military equipment here. This is just one of the examples. They have many different versions, different types and versions of EW systems that Russian military uses. They're very effective, and that they are able to jam, paralyze, or even fry the electronics of enemy's communication systems. They have a very powerful radar, where also is equipped with electronic jamming systems, EW systems built into. Not only they detect enemy aircraft from far distance, but they also have a power to paralyze the enemy's communication network. That's how Russia was able to easily um, carry out their military operation. And um, a lot of Ukrainian military personnel, the military men, have been wounded or killed. There are casualties. And Jesus also told me that the weapons that Ukrainians provided by the U.S., the Manpad, the weapons, the little compact missiles like the Javelin and Stinger missiles, were not useful. They have not been useful. They have not been effective against Russian military. Jesus told me that none of the Russian fighter jets got shot down in reality, in truth. Look at that radar, how big that thing is. They are large scale jamming weapons. It doesn't only cover like first 20 or 50 mile radius. It covers like several hundred miles to over 1,000 miles or so. That's how they control, jam communication systems, the enemy's systems. That is what happened. That is what Jesus told me. It's really scary because Russia is in reality is much stronger than the U.S. or NATO. They cannot, when they go to real war, they cannot face Russia. They will not be able to overcome it. All the news, all this is also to point out, all giving, I'm warning to the people, okay? People that have not woken up, people that don't know what's really happening, people that haven't sought God. They all have been deceived. They believe whatever the news says is happening from the mainstream media, from the Western propaganda. All the words come out of their mouth are lies. Virtually all of them, 99.9%. It's all lies against Russia to make Russia look bad and make it look weak. They say things about Russia being, they say that Russian invasion, Russian attack has not been successful, that the plan is not going as they planned, and that Russia is going through problems, and that civilian buildings in Ukraine are getting bombed and destroyed, and the civilians are getting killed by the bomb blasts. All that are lies. I'm telling you, Jesus told me that those bombing civilian places, civilian apartments and buildings and the people, those attacks are coming from their own people, from their own country, the Kiev's army, which is run by the US. The Kiev's leaders are doing what they are told to do. They are not running the country. They are not protecting their own people. They are simply taking orders from their bosses in the US. Okay? They simply just carry out what they're being told to do and killing their own people. That is what's happening. Their own military forces, the Ukrainian forces led by Kiev's government, are killing their own people. And then what they do is they film it. They put it on news, spin it as Russia. It is Russian military killing people, killing the people of Ukrainians, destroying buildings, innocent people. All those are lies. Now here it gets even worse because as Russia progresses, in these military operations. Every time when Russia succeeds something, the Western media news spins it the other way by saying exactly the opposite, by telling lies. That's what they do. So no matter what Russia does, they lie to make Russia look bad, make it evil nation, and deceiving everybody, virtually everybody. That is what's happening. I wanted to stress that. Jesus told me to get this out, to wake up the people, because this is a serious matter. Jesus told me that that this is a warning. It's a warning from God. Okay. It's most people, the general public, they don't believe World War III will really happen, the nuclear war. And those that believe nuclear war will happen believe that both sides, both Russia or the communist nations, the China, Iran, North Korea, Russia, versus the West, the US, Israel, NATO countries, that all will be destroyed, where nobody will be left alive. Even if they survive, that they will die from the nuclear fallout. They all have been deceived incredibly. Not only that, they deceived by themselves because they are morons. You're bound to become morons if you don't seek God. Because when you seek God, He will give you that knowledge. He will open up your eyes and ears so that you can see through of what's really happening. And you become smart because you receive truth. That's how it works, and that's how you come out from deception. The playbook that Western media plays, that are controlled by the satanic government, the globalist leaders in the West. Russia is against that. That also Jesus told me that is the truth. That Russia is doing the right thing, and Russia is doing what they have to do because they are defending their country, because they are in serious threat by the West. The West, eventually, what the West is trying to do is to destroy Russia via nukes. They're planning on nuking Russia. That's why Russia knows exactly what's happening. They ain't stupid. They know inside out. Every bit of it. And because whatever Russia says in public, that people don't believe whatever Russia says. Russia has no choice but to carry out take action, whatever they need to do to survive, to defend their country, to protect their people, their citizens. Jesus told me that Russia will win in the coming nuclear war. The winning and win to lose ratio will be 100 to 0. It's not going to be 90% to 10%, or 80% to 20%, or 50%, or 60% to 40%, where Russia is partially destroyed and US is completely destroyed. Jesus told me it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be both nations destroyed. Jesus says there will be clean destruction, and it will be totally distinct. It will be like a unilateral destruction, not mutual, where Russia will completely win and the US will completely lose. It will get decimated. Jesus told me that. I'm not making things up. I'm not going by what I researched. I don't do that stuff. I'm simply going by what Jesus guides me and tells me to do, because he reveals to me the truth of what it is, what happened, and what will be happening. And that is the truth. None of the cities, none of the places, none of the cities in Russia will get nuked. They will shoot down all the nukes coming from the enemy, from the US. Okay? It's the truth, guys. That's how God will use Russia to punish America. It's similar to, and Jesus also told me that it is similar to what happened in history in ancient time. If you look at the Bible prophecy, the Bible history in the Old Testament, Jeremiah, look up Jeremiah, read a chapter of Jeremiah. That's one good example Jesus told me to mention. It will happen similar to that. People in the time of Jeremiah, I believe it is today's country. It's Israel, Kingdom of Israel, Jerusalem, and the people fell away from God, not listening to God, not obeying God, and live in wickedness, in evil ways, and not taking heed to God's warning. Jeremiah warned them. Jeremiah warned in his country. Jeremiah warned his people, the government leaders, the kingdom, the king, and the military and the government, politicians back in that time. He warned them, come away from the wicked ways, come away from sin, get right with God, because God is warning them to come to him. Because if you don't repent, that you're gonna get overtaken, invaded, that you will get invaded by the other country, by their adversaries, the kings of the north. What is the north of today's country, Israel? That would be Lebanon, isn't it? That's what Jesus was hinting me. Basically, the kingdom of the north, the king of the north invades the king of the south. And the same thing will happen today, in the coming days, in the end times that we are in right now. Both Israel and America are destined to get punished. Big troubles are coming, guys. God is using Russia to punish us. That's exactly what God is doing. That is his will, because most people don't repent. God is calling people to repent. This plague, this coming destruction is coming because people are not repenting. They're living in their own ways, in wicked ways, in evil ways. So they don't even know what they're doing wrong, because they have been so used to live in wicked ways. They don't know what is right and wrong. Therefore, the punishment is coming, the judgment is coming, and Russia is bound to win. It will take down other nation, the US. And same with Israel, will be taken down by the king of Persia, which is Iran. I just wanted to give you warning. This is serious warning to wake people up. All right, Jesus bless you.